sir. Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Kamya Sharma. I'm a participant of the 45th batch of Postgraduate Diploma in Management, Rural Management of the Institute of Rural Management, Anand, and I shall be the Master of Ceremony for today's event. Today we come together to commemorate the 12th Dr. Verghese Kurien Memorial Lecture, honoring the legacy of Dr. Verghese Kurien, the founder chairman of IRMA. This occasion also marks the 45th Foundation Day of IRMA, a celebration of its enduring journey and impact. We are honored to have Shri Suresh Prabhu, former Union Cabinet Minister and an expert in rural development and agricultural transformation, as the chief guest for the 12th Dr. Verghese Kurien Memorial Lecture and IRMA's Foundation Day. Shri Prabhu has worked extensively in the domains of water management, cooperative organizations, and empowering agricultural communities. He will deliver the 12th Dr. Verghese Kurien Memorial Lecture on the topic Sustainable Development and Rural Prosperity, the Foundation of a Viksit Bharat. Please join me in welcoming him with a huge round of applause. Thank you, sirs, and welcome. We will begin with a floral tribute to our founder chairman, Dr. Verghese Kurien. I request our chief guest, Shri Suresh Prabhu, Dr. Minesh Shah, and Dr. Umakant Dash to kindly present a floral tribute to Dr. Kurien. Thank you, sirs. I now request Dr. Minesh Shah and Dr. Umakant Dash to kindly felicitate the Honorable Chief Guest. I now invite Dr. Umakant Dash, Director IRMA, for his welcome address.
Distinguished Speaker, Shri Suresh Prabhu ji, Chairman and members of the governing body and society members of IRMA, faculty and staff colleagues, participants of PRM and FPRM, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to one and all. IRMA welcomes you all to the 12th Dr. Verghese Kurien Memorial Lecture on the occasion of the 45th Foundation Day of the Institute. To commemorate the milestone, we have gathered today to celebrate and remember the founder chairman of IRMA, Dr. Verghese Kurien. I am specifically thankful to all of you who have joined us today virtually. Dr. Kurien may have left us, but his legacy endures in countless ways. He lives on through the institutions he built, such as IRMA and many other sister organizations, the people whose life he touched, from millions of farmers to his devoted students, and the transformative ideas that continues to inspire generations of students. He remains a beacon of inspiration for countless of individuals worldwide who wake up each day determined to make a meaningful difference in the lives of the underserved, a commitment deeply rooted in the principles he championed and the extraordinary life he had. Dr. Kurien envisaged IRMA as a place of higher learning that would supplement the dedications to the cause of working for the underserved. This was also the philosophy behind the establishment of institutions like NDTB, GCMMF, IDMC Limited, NCDFI, just to name a few. These institutions have served the country for more than half a century and will continue to serve because the values that Dr. Kurien built them with. The true tribute to Dr. Kurien lies in upholding the values he held most dear: integrity, honesty, and unwavering dedications to a meaningful cause. These principles should be carried forward across generations, embodying his enduring legacy. Honoring and living by these values would be the most befitting way to pay homage to the remarkable visionary Dr. Verghese Kurien was. It is my duty to welcome Shri Suresh Prabhu, Honorable former Union Cabinet Minister, for the 12th Dr. Verghese Kurien Memorial Lecture, a distinguished Indian statesman, renowned for his dynamic leadership, innovative policies, and far-reaching reforms across multiple sectors. A chartered accountant by training and four-time member of Parliament Lok Sabha, he has held key ministerial portfolios in the Government of India, including railways, commerce and industry, civil aviation, power, environment, and chemicals and fertilizer. His tenure has been marked by a deep commitment to the sustainable development, inclusive growth, and futuristic policy making. I'm sure you are eagerly waiting to listen to what will surely be a riveting lecture. Now I invite Chairman IRMA, Dr. Minesa, to introduce our eminent guest speaker and invite him to deliver the 12th Dr. Verghese Kurien Memorial Lecture. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning to all of you. Shri Suresh Prabhu, Honorable former Union Cabinet Minister, Dr. Umakant Das, Director IRMA, all the members of the governing body of IRMA, all the faculty members of IRMA, invited guests, friends, colleagues, and the participants of the PGDM RM and FPM RM programs. I again welcome you all for this 12th Dr. Verghese Kurien Memorial Lecture. As you all know, the lecture is part of a series which we held annually in the commemoration of late Dr. Verghese Kurien. Exemplary leader, hailed as the father of white revaluation, who was also the founder chairman of IRMA. Today is actually a very special occasion as the memorial lecture is being held on the 45th Foundation Day of IRMA. I congratulate all of you for the Foundation Day of IRMA. Dr. Verghese Kurien, as we all know, the milkman of India, was a very, very visionary architect of India's thriving dairy industry, relentless advocate of farmers. He considered himself their employee and dedicated his life to ensuring their prosperity. His exceptional contributions to India's cooperative movement earned him numerous accolades, including Padma Vibhushan, the Ramon Magsaysay Award, Community Leadership for the Krishi Ratna Award, World Food Prize, and many more. He will forever be celebrated as the pioneer who empowered farmers to take charge of their own cooperatives. And his legacy lives on through these institutions established under his leadership, which not only organized milk producers, but also empowered them to connect their produce to markets, driving an extraordinary transformation in the milk production. And these institutions today stood out for their unwavering commitment to the rural India and its people, a vision that required trained professionals to cater these producers' unique needs. Establishment of IRMA in 1979 was also a direct realization of Dr. Kurien's vision. IRMA was founded to create a dedicated cadre of rural management professionals committed to empowering rural households, and with its unique and innovative curriculum, IRMA fosters a profound sense of social responsibility by immersing students in the realistic of rural life. Over the past 45 years, over 5,000 graduates have carried forward IRMA's mission with empathy, dedication, and the impact. This Dr. Verghese Kurien Memorial Lecture serves as a meaningful platform to honor Dr. Kurien's legacy while engaging with the insights and perspectives of some of the most distinguished personalities and scholars in the nation. We are privileged today to have hosted eminent speakers even in the past, including Professor M.S. Swaminathan, Professor V.S. Vyas, Professor Raghuram Rajan, Dr. Arvind Subramaniam, Sri Vikram Singh Mehta, Professor Ramesh Chand, Sri Amitabh Kant, Dr. Prem Shankar Goel, Dr. Krishnamurthy Subramaniam, Dr. Arun Mehra, and Dr. Srikant Sambarani. These lectures not only pay tribute to Dr. Kurien, but also enrich our understanding in the critical issues in the rural development, its management, and aligning with his enduring vision for an equitable and prosperous rural India. It's to these great men that we pay homage today. I am honored to invite our chief guest and speaker, Shri Suresh Prabhu, Honorable former Union Cabinet Minister, Rural Development and Agriculture Transformation Specialist, Chancellor of Rishihood University, and many such other institutions he is involved with. As the Minister of Railways, he spearheaded a transformative agenda, introducing systematic reforms, modernizing infrastructure, and focusing on digitalization, passenger safety, and environmental sustainability. He is credited with launching ambitious initiatives such as Mission Electrification, Mission Solar, positioning Indian Railways as a global example of sustainable operations. In his role as the Minister of Commerce and Industry, he was instrumental in promoting Make in India, enhancing case of doing business, and fostering India's global trade relationships. His policies championed innovation, entrepreneurship, and the growth of India's manufacturing and export sectors. Shri Prabhuji has been a staunch advocate of sustainable development and climate action, representing India in the international forums such as the United Nations, the World Economic Forum. He has worked tirelessly to align economic growth with environmental conservation, particularly during his tenure as Minister of Environment and Power. Known for his vision, humility, and the results-driven approach, Shri Suresh Prabhu continues to inspire policymakers and leaders globally as a symbol of ethical governance and progressive reforms. Sir, it is my pleasure and honor to invite you now to deliver the 12th Dr. Verghese Kurien Memorial Lecture. Thank you so much.
Namaskar. Good morning, friends. I am so overwhelmed that I don't know really what I am going to speak. I was just telling some friends in the media that people go to different places of worship to offer their devotion, but also to get inspired. And I was just telling them in Hindi, यहाँ आने के बाद सिर्फ स्मृति नहीं जगती तो स्फूर्ति भी मिलती है. So I am truly overwhelmed because the kind of work that has been done in the course of last few decades, which has transformed rural India in a very significant way, all that was originated in Anand. So Anand, यहाँ आने के बाद सिर्फ आनंद नहीं मिलता. Anand is a place which I think is a new place for our worshipping those who believe in development of our country. Everybody must come here, take inspiration, and then go. There was a time when, the olden days when there were kingdoms, the king will embark upon a war and go take blessings of his own family deity. If you go to not very far from here, in Rajasthan, in Udaipur, the great founder of this great dynasty of Rajputs, he'll go and Eklinga ji ke paas jaake he used to take his blessings. Even little far away. And that's something which is quite an interesting thing. One of the biggest empire was that by Genghis Khan. And Genghis Khan was not belonging to any religion at all at that time. So religions were born much later. So he created the biggest empire known in the world. So before going on any new mission, any new adventure, he will go in seclusion and he will pray to the blue sky. That was his God, because he never believed in any religion. And then if he gets a signal, he will go on up for. So today, when we have already decided that 2047, we want to be a developed nation. And every society must have a shared vision. Each one of you will have an individual ambition, rightly so. You want to be a corporate executive, somebody say, I want to go on for make transformation in the rural lives. Somebody say, no, I want to go abroad. All of that in your own way, it is your right to have your own ambition. But as a collectively, as society, what is our ambition? We must have a mission that will make India a developed nation. And that's what 2047 is, the mission that our Honorable Prime Minister decided. So that is 100 years of India's independence. So 24 is almost ending, so another 22, 23 years we like to be where we want to be. But just imagine, just after independence, we were in such a sorry state of affairs because those who came and ruled here, they had no desire to transform societies. They created some infrastructure like railways. I was also railways minister. For what? To ensure that they will be able to use that infrastructure for making sure that their empire will be financed properly through transportation of goods. But real transformation of society can happen and only when, not just by creating infrastructure, that is necessary. But if you don't change lives of people, there is nothing like development. When I was looking at G20 and G7, when Prime Minister became Prime Minister 2014, I was the first person to represent him as Sherpa for G20. I remember I went to Australia because that time 2014 was G20 was hosted by Australia in Brisbane. So just before that, we had to have a number of meetings which leads to finally the leaders meeting, which is the culmination of the G20. I had asked them, we talk about development and developed nations, not so developed nations, emerging countries and all that new definitions that multilateral agencies keep coming out with. But so ultimately development for what? And development for whom? If the people don't get developed, and just because roads are developed, physical infrastructure, geography has developed, can it be called a development? And that realization we unfortunately didn't have for a fairly good amount of time till we had someone like Dr. Kurien who came here by accident. He didn't come by accident, means he didn't meet with an accident. He came here for a particular purpose, for a short stay of few months. And that's a very interesting thing, that in human life, destiny plays a role. So destiny takes you to some place. But then the ability of that person plays a role in deciding what that destiny has put for him in store. Can he use that or not? There's a very interesting question that was posed to Swami Vivekananda. He was asked, and that is really very pertinent. He was asked that you always talk about karma theory. If karma is what is going to decide my destiny, I mean, my destiny is already decided. So what is the role for karma? Nothing. Destiny is already decided. So if I am supposed to be this, I will happen that. Why should I work for this? So he gave a very interesting answer to that. He said, he gave an example of a ship which is supposed to graze in a small ground, there are grass. And the size of the ground may be bigger, but here's some rope has been tied to his neck, and the other side of the rope is tied to another big tree. Now suppose if the ship thinks that I cannot do anything because already my neck is already tied to this, I cannot do anything. But if it decides to get up and walk, it cannot cross probably that ground where that capacity, but at least can go a little further. So that's the role of destiny and capacity of a person to do it. So if he had not done anything, he would have been sitting and just grazing somewhere here, but could get up and go beyond and could do much more. So Dr. Kurien's life is a classic example of what destiny brought him by accident. In a way, there is nothing like accident for destiny. It was already a design. But he came to Anand. A Keralite who didn't know Gujarati, a person who didn't know the ethos, because actually speaking, the culture of Gujarat and Kerala is like two worlds apart, different. But he came here, devoted his entire life for a cause, and today he has become immortal. We don't have to think. Dr. Kurien may not be there in body form, but Dr. Kurien's legacy is so strong that we have IRMA, we have NDDB, we have got Amul, and we have got millions and millions of people who have benefited from that endeavor. So I am here not to actually provide any memorial lecture, but I would like to carry the memory of my visit here. I have been here before. I know Dr. Kurien personally well, because I was a young boy in the cooperatives. I became chairman, what he was talking about when I was hardly my early 30s. And Dr. Kurien called me, he, Dr. L.C. Jain, and Mr. L.C. Jain and Mohan Dharia, they all were working together to make sure that cooperatives are unshackled. Some IS officer sitting in somewhere should not decide the destiny, because he is the one who actually challenged the destiny and worked on it. But the entire cooperatives and cooperators' destiny tied up to some officer in the cooperative ministry. There was no cooperative ministry at a central level that time, but every state and still has a cooperative department. So I knew him very well. I had come here and spoken at IRMA at a smaller function. But today I am carrying a memory because first time I came to know what NDDB has done. Amazing, phenomenal work. And that particular work is a testimony to what Dr. Kurien's life is all about. He is gone in physical form, but he is still around through the contribution that he's made and the kind of indelible mark that he has created on the lives of a lot of people. So today we have to decide as young students, and most of you are students. I wish I was one of you. If you can actually make a barter and I can take your age, you can give mine, I'll be happy. Not possible, of course. But Dr. Kurien did something which is true for our 2047 journey today. And the topic is talk about sustainable development, all that. I'll just, in a minute, I'll talk about that. But we should also realize that Gandhiji had said that, of course, that India lives in villages, which is a fact. And that time it was truer than what it is today, because even more urbanization has happened. But if you don't develop rural countryside, we'll never be able to realize the dream of being a developed nation by 2047. Because I said, what is development? Is it for people? Or development is something an end in itself? If the people are not benefiting, but I am a developed country, can we say any time like this? And then we say development has to be people-centric. Then the second important question that comes, who decides what people want? Can I decide what you want and then because I'm a minister, I will decide this is what my people want? Could be good in North Korea, but can it be done in a country like India? Can it happen? So we must have the methodology, some sort of a mechanism by which you can understand what people want, and then depending on the people, what they want, can we make a development model? And what could be that mechanism to understand? So just imagine, if we have some sort of a, now of course it is impossible, that we can understand the views of 1.4 billion people. Now of course you can take a poll, nowadays you can take poll. Now these polls on this internet, on the web, you can do that. There's a country in Switzerland which takes referendum on any subject. Small little thing, parking should be here or parking should be there, one referendum can be taken. But that's possible because country is small and therefore this is possible. Can you do that for 1 billion, 1.4 billion people? Is it possible? Not possible. So how do you assess that? One, that's a challenge. And secondly, can we make that development work in such a way that will first benefit them and then that will be captured in the country's development? Is it possible? Just imagine today, we should be really be thinking about it seriously, that we are the 5th largest economy of the world. And very slowly will become 3rd largest for sure, because the 2 countries ahead of us, Germany and Japan, Japan is stagnated for a long time and Germany is slowed down considerably. So if you are driving from here to Ahmedabad, which I am going to do after this, I am driving at 70 kilometer speed, and there is other car with Mercedes which is going at 170, it's obvious which will reach first. And there's another bullock cart which is going behind me, cannot reach. Even when I reach, not probably reach Mumbai also, that will still, poor fellow will be still coming. So we are definitely going to be the 3rd largest economy, for sure. But at that time, today, what is our per capita income? You are all world developed, right? So you can find out in 1 minute. Just go into the website and find out. We are below 125. So just imagine. Per capita income is low, but our ranking in the world in terms of total GDP is high. Is it sustainable? So when we talk about sustainability, normally the question is sustainability has to do something to do with environment, which of course it is, and we'll talk about that hopefully if time permits. But can we have a sustainable model in which India's GDP is rising and rising fast and they are becoming bigger and bigger, but per capita income don't rise? Can there be a way that we can actually reverse it? That per capita income rises, and if per capita income rises, automatically GDP will rise. So what is GDP? It's the accumulation of the combined per capita income of all the people living in the country. So GNP, there are 2 ways you can calculate. Of course, you can go sectorally and create it. You can aggregate the GNP and also do it. But both ways, if per capita income rises first, then automatically GDP will rise. But to rise per capita income, what do you have to do? That's what Dr. Kurien thought about. He ensured that let me start an economic enterprise in a village in which what villagers want, what villagers have been doing for generations, I will try to link them to a marketplace. I will give them necessary technical inputs. I will provide them a incredible marketing apparatus to create brand building. I will ensure quality control will be essence of these entire operations, and all will be systems driven. That's what he thought some decades ago. And he created a new revolution. I was telling other day my friends that when I was young child, I'm an infant, I used to always cry for milk. Now I don't drink milk, but I used to cry for milk. So my mother's biggest worry was when she used to take to my native place where to get milk. So her biggest preoccupation was writing letter, etc. Please, even quarter liter of milk, if I can get. Just imagine from there where we have come. Today milk is available in abundance. This is a revolution that Dr. Kurien brought in the lives of people, of not just those who are producers of milk, but the consumers of milk. He created a nutritional security for billion people of India. Because the protein intake that you can get from milk, I can either get from fish, you can get from some of the dals. But if you don't have proteins in the body, the growth will never happen. As you say, 1 gram per kilogram, you have a kilogram of your weight. But just imagine if you had not done that. And I was just talking about understanding what people want, right? I was telling you that development has to be for people, but also it should be what people want. You mean to say, just ask anybody. There are people, of course, there are people like to migrate. Just now the media also asking me, आप ये सब कह रहे हैं लेकिन लोग तो शहर में जाना चाहते हैं. See, there are two kinds of migration. One is a voluntary migration for ambition. I want to go to city. Correct. But there are forced migration. People are forced to migrate because they cannot find a livelihood in the place where they live. I was elected to Lok Sabha for 4 terms from a place called Sindhudurga Ratnagiri. There are more women voters than male voters. So once in the parliament when they were debating, I had actually was on the joint parliamentary committee when we drafted the women reservation bill, which never happened. वो तो अलग बात है. मैंने कहा था कि बिल पास इसके लिए क्योंकि सब तो बिल पे बोल रहे लेकिन दिल से नहीं बोल रहे. दिल से बोलेंगे तो बिल भी पास होगा. So that's a different matter. But that particular issue was more women in my area than male. Why? Were there more girl childs were born? It's a migration. People had nothing to do there, so they migrated. If you ask a girl, any woman, is she happy that her husband, her brother, her son is out and she is living alone? And you ask that male, is he happy that I am living in a slum in Mumbai? For that also he has to pay price for getting 1 bucket of water. Even in a village, it may be a small hut, but still he has his own home. And he has the emotional security of living with his own mother, his wife, his sister, his daughter. Why should he go that? So actually speaking, development and what people want, so there nobody would like to just be a forced migrant. And that's what actually Dr. Kurien accomplished by ensuring that they live in their own village and actually can create a livelihood and also live in a family that they want. One the second problem that we have, despite having such, and that I mentioned women reservation struck me, is our society is still male dominated. And not just India, but even other societies. In fact, we have done a better progress. At least India had the first woman prime minister, even US doesn't have a first woman president. The largest economy. That's a different matter. But that's not the only way you can decide the status of women. That's only one way. But just imagine the woman, and that's my personal experience. My wife runs an NGO. So as always, it happens in a family. My wife does all the work and I do the other part of the work. Just talk about it and take credit for it. So that's what our society's division of work in the society, no? That women will do all the hard work and the husbands and the males will try to take credit. So we run a society, and there I've seen, and actually I'm telling you a practical work. Sorry, I'm just talking a little bit here and there, but something which I'm telling a real experience which will really bring out what Dr. Kurien did. So in my village, when I was MP, I was talking to them. There was a girl sitting down, and there's not sophisticated facilities like this in a village. So everybody sits on the ground. And I was talking, so everybody's face was towards me, and others could not see. The one girl sitting in the front was crying when I was speaking, that if you earn enough, no husband will have the ability to come and hit you because you'll have the economic power. So one girl was crying. So I thought I have said something, so I without, and others didn't notice it. So I just took her to the next room after my speech was over, asked her, why are you crying? She said, I was in Mumbai, I was working, I brought here, so I left my job and here nothing. Now for even 1 rupee I have to ask my husband and he'll ask me questions. Just as the poster that was there in that NDB Parikrama, I was just remembering that. That's the greatest contribution of Dr. Kurien, that not only did the economic transformation, not only did the rural development, not only created an enterprise that was actually helping, but he put women in the front. So today that girl from Rajasthan, from Bilwad, something, I think, she was telling in that video which is there in Parikrama, you should go and see that. She is saying, एक ज़माना था वो पति को पूछते मेरे से झगड़ा करते थे, पैसा मांगूंगा तो आज वो मेरे पास पैसा मांगने के लिए आते हैं. See, this is the transformation that has happened, and this is called women's empowerment. So वो पार्लियामेंट में रिजर्वेशन देंगे नहीं देंगे देना ही चाहिए, लेकिन ये this is important. So this is not what came as reserve, but this is what they got, what they deserve. So this is not a woman reservation, but woman deservation. And therefore, this is what again Dr. Kurien did in his own life. Other key element of, and that's what Vikasit Bharat 2047 we talk about sustainability, is do we want development? And I talk about that economic disparity, GDP rising, not per capita income rising enough. What is that form of organization that can make it happen? If you really look at it, if Kurien Sahab and all his colleagues had created a big listed company, what would have been the valuation? Today, all the corporates, and you are also part of, you are the students, you know that, every corporate wants valuation. But Kurien Sahab, the valuation, it would have been probably one of the most valuable company in the world. I was just now, yesterday, asking the managing director of Amul, have you done the valuation of your brand? He said, no. I said, you do valuation, it will be more valuable than anything else. But he didn't go for the valuation. But what did he go for? He went for values. Now, what is more important, values or valuation? So he didn't create a corporate entity, he created cooperative organizations. And cooperative organizations are the only way where you can create wealth for the society, which will be first shared between the shareholders of the society. For society, when I'm talking about society broadly, for the first wealth will be shared among the members of the society. Society again now cooperative society, I was talking society in a larger context of society as a whole. So if you don't create such entities, it will not succeed. And that was the realization Dr. Kurien had. So I can't imagine, sometimes I wonder whether there was only one Dr. Kurien or there were many Dr. Kuriens living in one body. He had such an amazing ability to work on so many issues, see how it is happening everywhere, and create a transformation in the society. So now 2047, how much is it? I will speak for another 10 minutes. I have to. So cooperatives is the very useful form for realizing our overall objective of creating a developed country in which people benefit first, and they don't benefit because of money transfer coming from the government, ladki ben, not ladki bhai, not like that. But it can come through a form in which economically viable, self-sustaining units can be created which are linked to market. Amul is successful not because they made good milk. Amul is successful because what they make people buy. And they are buying, and they are, where are they selling these places? They are selling in a marketplace where the private operators also operate. The multinationals also are selling the same chocolate which Amul is selling. But still people prefer to buy Amul ice cream and which others are selling. So that shows the kind of cooperative institution we must build. They should be economically viable. They must produce equally good product and they should not survive only because cooperative ban gaya, to kuch wahan se sarkar se paisa milega. Not on that basis. In fact, he is the one who always resisted interference from the government. And that's what I used to meet him and talk about that part. But today, 2047 ambition, wherein we want India to be a developed country, which has to be and will be. I'm very sure about it. But we must also be careful about what kind of business models we'll have. How can we make sure that we'll not first create inequality and then we'll create another intervention from the state policy that will remove inequality? Why to create inequality to begin with? One can say nature has created unequal people, which is true, that inequality is inevitable. But why public policy should be aimed at creating inequality? Can we not create a public policy which will first and foremost ensure everybody will have equal rights, everybody can have opportunity to grow, and they will do something which they are good at and doing it. So the milk producing. Now you are giving training and making it more sophisticated. But women, the villagers, the farmers, they knew how to produce milk because they already had their livestock. So can we develop a model wherein you create such enterprise like cooperatives which are actually economically, they will become economically strong later, but because they do something which is so fundamentally strong that at marketplace you can succeed. It would never have successful if the Amul product was useless. Quality was not good, pricing was not right, and there was not that small Amul child which is always telling you and Dikunas are not trying to take it to the people. But that all happened only because the product was good, the processes were strong and very profoundly good, very robust. That's why it succeeded. So we have to now develop a model wherein all of these things should be. So we can learn from Dr. Kurien, all of these aspects when we talk about 2047. Now, just one or two more points because 12:15, I'm sorry, I'll come again and not talk about memorial lecture, but I think we'll talk about something more and have more interaction. One, it is sustainability. That's a part of this, one of the theme for this memorial lecture. See, we are facing a big challenge in the world. And I'm very happy that indeed Mr. Shah was telling me they're trying to reduce the emission of methane. Methane, incidentally, is one of the greenhouse gas. And like of all the greenhouse gases, they are the cause of the climate change. And the biggest threat to livelihood is climate change. So Dr. Kurien Sahab created a livelihood model wherein people can survive and live in their own villages, in their own environment, enjoy the life. The biggest threat to world community, and particularly those who are more vulnerable like Indians are, is from climate change. So we have to have a model wherein we can address climate change in a manner in many ways. Like for example, we have to create a climate-proof agriculture. Because if the temperature rises below 2 degrees centigrade, which is almost there, we are almost there, then actually many crops like wheat will not be able to withstand that particular heat and therefore they will not survive. Water is going to be, Tushar Bhai is sitting here. I think there is authority on that. No one knows better than him about the water challenges that we are going to have, and that's all because of climate change. Just imagine that climate change. You cannot do agriculture without water. Groundwater is already depleting fast. There is almost no groundwater. There are people who can go underground. When there's some agencies are looking for them, they say, he's not found, he's underground. But now the water also, if you go in search for water, not like agencies, but for something to drink or something to use for agriculture, there is no water below the ground. All that was there, given by the nature with millions of years of activity, the aquifers are becoming dry. And therefore climate change is a real threat to humanity. It is threat to biodiversity. Already biodiversity, much of it is gone, the terrestrial biodiversity. Marine biodiversity is under threat. And therefore climate change is a reality. It's not some fictional idea that people talk about. It's a real life danger that we are facing. And therefore we now will have to work, if we want to take Dr. Kurien's vision to the next level and make it relevant to contemporary times. How can you create a new paradigm in which we actually live? Firstly, we'll have to live with that, but that's adaptation. Because if climate change is a reality, then is a certainty. Climate change is a certainty, then accepting it and adaptation is a necessity. Because adaptation, you have to do it with a reality. He is coming and Shah Sahib ne decided that he has taken a revolver and he is going to shoot me. The first thing I know, he has a real revolver, I'm going to shoot. So I have to do something to accept that reality. He has one in his hand. So climate change is actually a threat which is staring at us. So how do you now develop India 2047, which can actually meet with this challenge? How can you deal with this real threat to life? And the lives of whose? For the same lives which he wanted to protect through these cooperatives, through milk, and many initiatives that he initiated during his lifetime. So we have a big challenge here. And there are many ways you can do it, and I'm glad that NDB is working on it. They are trying to put solar plants. So changing energy mix. Energy is one of the important criteria for that, because one of the major source of greenhouse gas emission comes because of fossil fuel burning. But of course, dairying is small part, but methane is one of the greenhouse gas, but dairying is a small part of that. But still there. Of course, if you do that way, methane can be emitted, even when you actually have reservoirs. And when you have reservoirs, it also emits methane. So somebody will say, don't have storages. Now, how practical it is, one has to think seriously. If you don't have storage, because firstly, there is going to be water shortage. It is not going to be water shortage, but there will be plenty of water coming at a short time, only short span of time, because of flooding. If you don't store it, how will you manage it? So storage will be necessary in any case. Like dairying will be necessary in any case. So that kind of methane we can, of course, as you are doing, and I'm very proud of that. I didn't know that myself. So I must to congratulate you that you are trying to work on reducing methane. But still, we'll have to work on some of these challenges in a way that developed India will have more GDP, but will be spending more of that into dealing with problems of climate change. When I was in 1998, I was a Minister for Environment. So first time we did in Atal Bihari Vajpayee's cabinet. So this was the first time I prepared what is the cost of adaptation of climate change to India. And that time I had said 4 to 5% of GDP when we were growing at 6%. And 6% was obviously the right number, but 4-5% was very conservative number, because the government will always like to give a conservative figure. When the train accident happens, so how many people died? I think 9.5. So we'll not say 10, right? I think 9.5 must have died, something like. So we don't want to give an exact number. So we therefore have to really be ready to deal with these challenges of climate change. For that, many things have to be done. Again, very importantly, he also has started a program for tree plantation. And this is something which is amazing, that particular time. Because as you know, trees are the carbon sinks. They actually take the carbon in. And therefore we need, when the carbon is emitting to such an extent, we need carbon sinks. Oceans are carbon sinks. Forests are carbon sinks. So this is what we did. But more importantly, we have to change energy mix. We have to go in for new practices for agriculture. We have to work on water management very effectively, and that's why the former director of IRMA was specializing and working on that issues. I think we have to work on so many such initiatives. I wish Dr. Kurien was still living to guide us on these issues. But if he's not there, his spirit is there. We can draw inspiration from his own life. We can actually see the successful model that are created all around us, and can then get inspired to create another model. Now my last 2 minutes, I want to request my young friends, you have a choice. What you should be. There is nothing wrong in being a careerist, nothing wrong at all. Making money is not a sin, not at all. Deciding something to do good for myself, absolutely correct. But just think about it. Why are we remembering Dr. Kurien? How many millions he had? What was his bank balance? Was he competing with Elon Musk to be the richest man in the world? Was he created a valuation which I talked about wherein he can say, I hold 80% of Amul and therefore my company is now valued by so many $1 billion. Is he remembered for that? Or is he remembered for what he did for those who didn't have anything? So you have to choose, my young friends, whether you should devote your entire life or part of your life for doing something good for others, and that's what you will be remembered for. There is a memorial lecture for Dr. Kurien. Of course, for billionaires also there will be memorial lecture because there will be enough funding will be done. Everything will be organized properly, sophisticated. But Dr. Kurien was not a billionaire, but he lives in the hearts of billions. So he is not a billionaire, but he is actually can never be taken away from that position that he has occupied as a permanent place in the lives of billions, of at least few hundreds of millions of people. And therefore that is what you could be. You are studying at IRMA, you are extremely fortunate. IRMA is the most prestigious institute. There was a time when placement was made, I am, but now people will say, are you from IRMA? Oh, I am, just wait for some time. I will call you a little later. IRMA ko pehle bulaiye. This is the brand of IRMA because you are coming from an institution which creates individuals, it creates human beings, it creates, you challenge your brain, but also puts energy in your hearts. So can you want to work only with your brain or also use your heart to choose your career? That's what you have to decide. I wish you succeed and you also try to be like Dr. Kurien life was. I think you will be remembered forever. And I think that will be bigger asset to have rather than the bank balance that we'll have. Bank balance, you must, as I told you, making money is not a problem at all. Everybody must make money. And those women in the villages making money, that's what makes us happy. But those women in a village doesn't have the ability that you have of transforming the lives of others. So that's the difference. That rural woman has no time to do anything else except to look at her household chores. But you will have the possibility and a choice to decide what you would like to be. I hope you succeed, and that will be the biggest tribute you will be paid to Dr. Kurien's memory. I am extremely fortunate, extremely lucky, and I consider it the greatest honor to deliver a lecture in honor of a greatest son of India, Dr. Verghese Kurien. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for delivering an enriching and insightful lecture that I'm sure will not only inspire those who listen to your words today, both in person as well as virtually, but hundreds and thousands of those who will do so for years to come. With your kind permission, we will now take up a few questions from our viewers. 1 or 2 questions, please.
Yeah. Good afternoon, sir.
Take it closer to you.
Yeah. Good afternoon, sir. Sir, it is really honor to listen to you on this for Verghese Kurien. As you clearly mentioned about that being a nation, we have a vision to be developed by 2047. So it is not possible without inclusion of rural India. So as we are creating cooperatives, launching like a Wide Revolution 2.0, creating FPOs, SHG, do you think is a need to create another IRMA as well, so that could facilitate these cooperatives? Addition of that, sir, being a son of farmer, I always had a pain in my heart when I see farmers protesting for the demand of their crops. And do you have a vision, like what we, being a student or being a rural manager, what we can do so that the potash demand of the farmer could be stopped and we can solve their problem so they will get the right price of their crops? That's all, sir. Thank you, sir.
See, both these questions are so fundamental that we'll have to have 2 more lectures on this. But I'll just tell you in brief just this. Number one, we need more IRMAs. We need more Dr. Kuriens, right? IRMA was created because Dr. Kurien. So to have more IRMAs, we need more Dr. Kuriens. So whom of you will like to be Dr. Kurien? You raise your hands. Yeah, so we have many more IRMAs already created. So we need leadership. See, you cannot create institution. See, we need institution builders. See, institution is not just brick and mortar. See, this beautiful structure is not what IRMA is all for, right? There could be better campuses, there could be better facilities. But IRMA, so that's a body. You need soul of that body. And that happens through institution builders. So we definitely need more, obviously I agree with you. And now second part, very important. Why farmers? See, basically this is the biggest challenge of our whole society. That farmers don't get what they deserve. And this is all controlled through public policy. We have Agriculture Price Marketing Commission, which actually measures what the price should be given, etc., etc. That's fine. But whenever, and I was talking about it, when an onion price goes up, everybody will shout. Onion. And there was one government in Atalji's time when I was there, we lost 2 assembly elections because of aloo and pyaj. So they used to say aloo pyaj government tha ye. So the government chala gaya. Just imagine, we should seriously think about it. And I'm sure all of you youngsters, 600 of you, become a champion for this idea. How much part of your food budget, particularly those who make noise or live in urban areas, how much part of their food budget goes into buying onion? Suppose the onion price goes up by 2 rupees, how much is your family budget is affected? But at 2 rupees, depriving a farmer of 2 rupees, his entire family is destroyed. There's Sharad Joshi, I don't have time, there's a very famous, how it is documented, who was one of the great farmer leaders, because he was from same area. In fact, he started because of the onions only. Lasalgaon is the area where the main onions are grown. So farm price, by not allowing it to be linked to the market, is the biggest crime I would feel. And that's why we must really look at it like this. And just imagine the cause of poverty, for example. See, 60-70% of the people live on agriculture. And what is the contribution of agriculture to GDP? 14%. So if 14% income is shared by 60-70% people, 86% of the income is shared by 25-30% people. Do you need any economists to tell you why India is poor? So just imagine, if we want to really make sure that 2047 India gets developed, you must first make sure that farmers and rural India are developed first. Automatically development will happen. There is no other development strategy required. No developmental economy should be used for this. So giving right price to farmers is extremely important. Incidentally, one of the interesting things is, like today, when you talk about farmer, the farm is the same, but now he produces not just food crops, he also produces horticulture. Horticulture production is more than agriculture. Milk. So ultimately farmer's income will come from basket of new things. Of course, for that, he needs a lot of capital, he needs a lot of infrastructure to take it to farm. It's many other things. My family, ancestor, we have also got a mango orchard. So we spend more and doesn't get anything out of that. So it's always a losing enterprise. One thing for certainty, we lose money. How much you lose this year and next year, that only changes. That's all. But point is, what Dr. Kurien did. It's the same farmer, milk income increasing is also farmer's income has increased. But just imagine to add to it, if you had also provided a proper pricing to his food production, what transformation would happen? And then what happens? If farmers gets more income, what is he going to do? He's going to buy goods, right? So automatically, your manufacturing sector will get a boost. What is the farmer going to do? He'll buy services, he'll travel more. Your automatically service sector will grow. So ultimate, it will be a very virtuous cycle that will happen because purchasing power of the large number of people increases, their spending increases, automatically the GDP of India will also rise faster with a virtuous way. So I think that is what we need to do for sure. But I think we need more elaboration. I wish I could, but maybe some other time. Thank you.
Sir, can we take one more question? Thank you, sir. I thank the viewer for his question and Honorable Chief Guest for his response. I now request Dr. Minesh Shah, Chairman IRMA, to present the Honorable Chief Guest with a token of our gratitude. I now invite Professor Hippu Sir, Dean Academic, to offer the vote of thanks.
Honorable Chief Guest, respected Chairman and Director Sirs, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor and privilege to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. I, on behalf of IRMA, extend hearty thanks to our distinguished speaker, respected Shri Suresh Prabhu ji, former Union Cabinet Minister in several portfolios, for delivering an extremely topical lecture fitting to the occasion of our Institute Foundation Day. The talk, Sustainable Development and Rural Prosperity, what could have been a better subject than this, which is an alignment with what IRMA envisions and professes. Sir, your enthusiasm, your commitment to work, your humility, your down-to-earth nature, and your practical solutions, some of which you put forward in your talk, have many lessons for all of us. Thank you, sir, for coming over to IRMA campus, our campus, and giving us the opportunity to interact with you. I thank the Chairman, IRMA and NDDB, Dr. Minesh Shah, and Director IRMA, Dr. Umakant Das, and both the Chairman's and the Director's Office for all the efforts made towards organizing this lecture. Our deepest sense of gratitude to the esteemed members of the Board of Governors of IRMA, dignitaries and guests from the media, as well as from all the sister institutes and elsewhere for taking out time and attending this event. I thank all my faculty colleagues here, participants from the PGDM RM 45th batch, 44th batch, the doctoral program fellow students, and our executive program participants, as well as all others who got involved in this event. I thank all my colleagues in IRMA administration for all the arrangements towards making this event success. I also thank the VFS office and all the people who got involved in that for organizing the VFS inauguration well in time. I, on behalf of IRMA, also lastly thank the NDDB administration for providing the support for smooth execution of this program. I thank all of you for participating in this event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I now request all of you to join us for the national anthem.
Uttara
Thank you. The audience is requested to please remain standing till the Chief Guest, Chairman IRMA and Director IRMA exit the auditorium. Thank you.